just I just claimed it, but because I haven't printed it yet, the record doesn't get updated. Okay, so that's one thing you have to keep in mind. The fact that you just say claim here is the first step. So I'm gonna do a few of them and say next. Claim this one too. Okay. So as you see, it's possible some of the old orders that actually fall between the cracks, and this is the best way to clean up. And especially if your budget is one of those that you cannot carry over um, money from one fiscal year to another, you really want to do this, or at least run a create list. This is the quickest way, but you can do create list with receive date um, blank as well, and take a look and see if you need to um, spend the money, cancel that order, and spend the money with another order, or whatever decision you need to make. But this is one way for you to find out. So um, then we go to next, and I'm going to go ahead and claim. Okay, I can stop at any given point. I can go through the whole system, or I can stop at any place I want to, and I say stop. I looked at 8 records. There were 3 of them that I claimed. Overall, 41 records were scanned, okay, and 0 canceled. So that's my claiming. So this is to find the records to be claimed. Then you have print and send claims. Now, claim, print orders, print claims. These are the claims that I have. I have. I can do again limit by vendors. I can limit by location. I can print it from here, which will print this page, and it will send it to my printer. I can print from here, select printer, okay, and then it gives me the option to email it. So if I narrow this down for this same vendor, I can actually send an email um, to that um, to that person. In this one is for myself. And once I print them, then the records are updated. So if I go here and um, just let me write down the number 1000 Okay. So I can go look at the record and see how it's updated. So as you see, the process is very simple, but it's really effective. So all of them are the claims that are done. Now I can go to place order. I can look at the record number and his order 29 search. Now you see the claim decision is updated, and it's okay. There is nothing better than prove you wrong. Uh, claims. You're here. And claims. Okay. I'm gonna send it to my email. I'm sorry. It has to be done by this print claim. Other prints, they will just print this page. This is the one that actually processes the claims. So they are sent, was okay, print out, yes, and then they go away from here. Now when I go back to place order, look for my record, then you see claim third decision made, and then it was sent today. So once you send it, so this way you actually can keep track of what's going on with your order records. There probably are a whole lot less, and you probably need to do claiming for monographs um, less than maybe once a month, maybe every 2 weeks. Depends on your volume and the The order has been canceled and an entry has been made in the cancellation section. Okay. So it, it so what I need to do is post it to see to make sure that the cancellation notice has been done because remember it has to be updated. Now it's edit mode and views only. Okay. So let me close this and I'll go to pay an invoice. I'm gonna post see cancellation ready to be posted. So it did cancel, but cancellation, anything to do with the money, you have to go through posting. So I go ahead and say post all cancellation. Okay. Okay. And yes, yes, right. So now if I go back to my place order, search for that title, the cancellation status is canceled. Okay. And canceled out of print. The internal note is added, but also it was claimed on that day. It wasn't added. So by going through the claiming, I can claim these. The other thing, the important thing is this way you can actually have really good statistics to talk to your vendors. I used to be an expeditions librarian, so um, at that time I kind of guessworked that okay, we are ordering, and some of them are not coming, and some of them you're receiving them within, 4 or 5 weeks. I didn't have numbers, but um, by keeping your claims, by keeping your orders, in good shape, then you can actually talk to your vendor and say, in my vendor report says that I have placed $14,000 last year with you, and it took, and the average 5 weeks to get them, and it took me some of them 5 claims before I actually you fulfilled the order. So you really have solid um, way of talking to your vendor about the material. So this is how you go through the claiming, canceling order when you get from the notice from the vendor. The other way to cancel is just your normal that's how you can um, claim, put a note from the vendor, also or cancel it in the order record, and then delete their record as well. And we talked about suppressing their records. So there is a way to suppress the record from, I deleted it, so it no, it's record number. Um, so there is a way to suppress it from here. Um, right now, if I look at public display, it says order canceled. Okay. Now, if I don't want to show this record to my patron, I can say suppress, save it. Make sure every time that you want to see public display, you need to save it. And now I can, and since this is an on-call, it may take a couple minutes to get there, but then it shows that it's suppressed and it cannot be seen by public. So that's another reason. And then the other way, if that is the only order record attached to it, you may want to suppress it from bibliographic record. If you um, if you actually want to keep it for future use or um, statistics or any reason, then you can suppress it from the bibliographic record and have it in your system. Any questions? Let me get my chat down again, just in case there are any questions. Nope. Okay. What we are gonna do now is actually go ahead and pay an invoice. So paying an invoice requires you have the orders and also have your invoices in hand, right? There are usually 10 sessions in your pay invoice file. You probably have already set this up that you can divide the sessions so you don't run into each other. And since you have an separate accounting, you wouldn't see that anyway. But even within a small library, I worked, um, we had sessions divided different people who were paying it. Like for cereals, they had some sessions for, I had two people working for me in acquisitions who would pay. And each one had their own sessions. They would not run paid it two ways, paid using blanket PO and using regular pay. As always, need to post them and say, okay, it has my email address already. Smart about that. And it's done. So everything is paid for now. Okay. Now if I go back to my orders, place an order, and search for my record, title something. It has the payment. And it also warned me that it has not been received. So I could have edited from the order record, right, from the invoice payment, or I can come back here and put the order receive date in there and update it that way. Okay. Any questions? Bring the chat down. No questions. So I'm sure the ones who in your department does this part of it is you know how easy it is. We're talking about manually. We use okay that you are using Edifact. So we did Edifact, so you know how much easier it is using Edifact. So, um, but in case you need to do manually, this is how it's done. Okay. Um, the other thing that I want to, it's on the um, list, paying an invoice. Let's see, do I have the list? Do I have one that has more copies than one? Edited. This is the place that you can actually edit. I could. Doesn't let me show you at the bottom of my screen the order record. So if I want to edit it, I can also edit from here. Um, the record, anything I want to change. And let's say if I want to exit edit and use order record, if there were more than one copy, I could pay. Let me cancel this one actually. Cancel. Let me go to the order, place an order, something. Use the same thing and the one that is on order. Let's say I want to add a row. I want add a row. Oh, this doesn't allow me to add now copies to it. Okay, I can place a new one. This is the good thing about using the our server. I can play, I can do whatever. $12. Okay, and it's okay. Now, I'll go ahead and pay for this. Finish my invoice. Next, next, next. Finish it again. Total, yes. And post it. What? I can go to the order of it. Yes. I just wanted to show you the difference between payment and this is a partial payment. We had 3 copies. I received one, and this one says it's partial payment, and it tells you that it's only 1 copy received. That was a comment that um, posting encumbrances because I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Um, I did mention the question is, did you already cover posting encumbrances and cancellation? I'm not sure if I missed it. Yes, I did, but I can go over it again. This is your session. I don't want to give you a lot of information and not give you the one that you need. So I can show you again. The one that I just did, payments that, okay, the payments that I just did was manual payment and it was for partial. So we had 3 copies. I received only one. And the main thing to look at is this one, the status changed to Q for partial pay. And it came out of one of the funds. It came out of the first one. It tells you that it is foreign currency. Okay, the amount was $10 in U.S. dollars. So when you are paying in foreign currency, it lists both currencies. It tells you that it's $12 Australian dollars, but in American dollars, what it comes out of your budget is 1055. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through the posting again, just to make sure that it's clear. Let me have another. Um, okay, I think I can take this. Okay, so let's close. Let's go to um, pay an invoice. The reason you may have missed the encumbrance posting is because encumbrance does not show on this page. Um, no matter how many orders you have placed today, those are all are encumbrance. It will not. There is no place here for you to see that there are encumbrances um, to be posted. When I usually train new libraries, I tell them the acquisitions department they should do posting before they leave. You know, that way everything is up to date and all the all the money is put in the right places. So all the encumbrances are into the records, into encumbrance taken out of appropriation. All the cancellations, the money is back into appropriation. All the new invoices are paid and posted. The other reason for it is that record, this is one place that the record will remain busy by the system for good reason, right? Because the money money place has to be updated and corrected, so nobody can get into that record to update the record. So this is the only time that you will see, one of the few times that you see that it says um, record is busy, and you want to make sure that you do post. I would say as a good practice, as a making everything clear for your rest of staff, the people who don't work with this kind of things, especially your collection planners or your managers who need that warning that there is nothing there. It would only post the encumbrances. And of course, the cancellations we saw this morning that if there is any cancellations, then it would tell you here that there is cancellations ready to be posted. Um, any other questions about posting? See if there is anything in the chat. Is that clear about posting now, about encumbrance and cancellation? I assume, I may be wrong, but I am, oh, good, that was helpful. Good. But I will assume if silence is sign of agreement. So there is another way of paying, um, and I don't know if you have this set up or not, but there is another way of paying for, let's say, posting. Some libraries pay posting out of a different budget. They don't put it into their record for each record. So the way they do that is, um, let's see, and then I'm gonna change the currency to local currency. There is a way to do with X record. So that means it will take it out of that funding, and that's what you want to with the first rest of your record. Starts with an X, but then it goes for posting. This is our budget setup, and then it um, the records that we are paying as X. If we have set up for posting, then there will be one that it says just posting. Or maybe I want to have all the budget coming out of um, Joe's training fund, and um, my vendor is little now. Let's do Black Web. I'm gonna use that. And okay. And now the amount that I'm paying, let's say $12, it comes directly for posting out of Data FW's fund. Okay, so there won't be any record per se that you're used to. You won't see that. Okay. Then there is another way of paying. Again, it's not a record. It's um, they call it X and Y records. Let's say we call it test, and again, you can take it directly out of the um, out of the budget, and you don't have to have exact record for it. This is a practice. Since you guys are using the acquisitions for a while, um, it's up to you whether you want to use this option or not, and I don't know if you have ever used it. But it's a good thing to have for things that maybe you have an equipment budget. Maybe there is a budget for a certain thing that you don't have record for it, but you actually want to keep track of where this money is gone. This is one way to do it. The difference between the two X and Y, whenever you pay on a Y test, Y record, you have to have some other records that you pay that is a normal record. I'm gonna finish this. I'm not sure if it's gonna take X um, record as a. It did. Okay. It has to be um, another record payment, another payment in that invoice. You can't just pay with Y record. With X, you can. You can have one single X record and pay for it and post it. Again, it goes through the posting, and it takes it out of the budget, but agenda, it tells you is entering a line item. And of course, if you misspell, it doesn't take it. Line item as no order record. And this is a way, a place that it will explain very clearly. And the other one, Y record is not prorated. It's called not prorated. So you can use either one of those records. Some libraries use this because they really want to know exactly how much they spend on hosting every year, because that's not really part of their budget. When they ask money from the higher powers, they say, okay, we need $500,000 for our budget, but we also need $50,000 just for posting, because that doesn't really add to our collection. Any questions about why X and Y records? Okay. Now, if I want to get credit memo, is exactly the same way as you have seen it, and you find your order record and you select it, and this one that is paid for, and it says order record, use order has not been received. Okay, but it tells me has already paid. Oh, okay, I know. Thank you very much. And now I say minus, let's say $3. Okay. When I say minus, that's how it's gonna credit for good behavior. Right? So it now, because this record had been attached to two different funds, it automatically divided the credit to both funds. It's a very, very democratic system. So Finish, actually, it's not democratic. It's based on the percentage that it was uh, taken out. So these two were 50-50. So I'm going to post again. Yes, yes, quit. And I'm going to go back to my place order, put out something. And it was this one. Now you can see that is a minus 264 because it applied the discount. I could tell it not to apply the discount, but it did apply the discount into even my credit, because it doesn't recognize it. It doesn't recognize credit or a payment. It recognizes numbers, so it took the credit out, the discount out as well. So now what you see, it shows up in red and it shows up in minus. So, oh no, I'm sorry. It's not the discount, it's the Australian $3 I paid, and this is US dollars. This is the thing about not seeing your faces. You would have pointed out. So this is how create credit memo. Is there any questions about invoicing? Any question about credit memo, partial payment, making notes, multiple you said that you are using it. Is there any other questions about Edifact payment? I think once you set it up, it's the easiest one to use. So the other thing we have here is close import invoice. So we talked about also um, Webpack, um, display of the bibliographic and orders. Um, if you have the web option, which is in the administration, there are three ways to set this show OREC. It's one is no cat date, which we talked about in the order record if there is no cat date. Um, the other one is no receive date. Alphabetical list of it. And show org. One is with the no receive date. So if there is no receive date in the record, it will um, it will still says the item is on order. The other ways you can put it is number of days, and these are number of days after your receive date. So automatically will go into the that is its processing. The reason some libraries use this is because if once you go to processing, like where I work, as soon as it went on processing and the patron saw it, they could go to um, the circulation desk and request the item. And then the cataloging department was obligated to make that item available to the patron within 24 hours. So some libraries prefer to use the number of days after receive date to make it no no keep it on order, not change the syntax of on order changing to um, being processed for the library. Let me close this. Okay. So we talked about acquire. We talked about. I guess I covered too many things in the morning um, from from this afternoon. But for end of year closing, um, year closing material, the topics that we are going to talk about. One is fiscal year closing. So, of course, you do this once a year, but you don't have to. You can do it more often, but usually libraries do it once a year. No data to post. All sessions are empty. Here you can do financial activities. So the if there are any um, fun activities, you can actually process them here. Um, then there is a statistics. If you want to, I have um, set my logging as to not to do fun activity report and statistics at the end of the year, but you can set it up and it will actually will set up the statistics. Let me see if in this database I have it differently. any of them is out of balance. It also tells me, but it also tells me what things have been stated as errors. All of these it's given, so then I can go. It must be cleared. That's another thing that payment history always have to be um, cleared before you can. This is once you print it. Let me send it to my print, my email. That may take a little bit of time. Um, so you can go through that part. You send it through. Now I can go back here for statistics. I'll go back to the other system I show you. Then this is the part that actually is the fiscal close, and it doesn't let me do that either. That's bizarre. Okay. Now, if I say print is okay, which is I'm gonna say, there are 14 out of balance, and this one, if it happens for you, you have to call Innovative to clear it, fix it, fix it for you. You cannot do close fiscal year with out of balance stuff. So now, if there is any, it tells me that it's um, 8 of them are out of balance, and it would give me the statistics. If I go to change, it doesn't. Let me do that. Okay. Actually, this is a good thing not to do right now. But for fiscal closing, you go through, and I'm sure there is only one or two people who will do that anyway. But main thing that I wanted to talk about fiscal closing was that fund activities and statistical report cannot be done, um, does not have to be done during the fiscal closing. So um, that's for fiscal closing. Any questions about that? Um, as I said, the people who know how to do fiscal closing, it's okay. So let me uh, change that. Uh, Deleting fund records. Um, Funds. If you want to delete, you have to make sure that there is no record attached to that fund. It's the same way as you had for your order record that if status was on O, you couldn't delete it. The funds are the same way. If there is any record attached to it, you cannot delete that fund. So you have to um, go through the records, um, close those, and then delete the fund. And let's say if there is you have to be in the fund, and then you can use the delete. Again, this is not something that everybody will have or should have access to, but it's easy to do. You can delete the record, delete the funds. There is a way for archiving your purged order records. So if you are if you go through um, deleting records, you want to use a create list to keep it in create list, and then archive them and then delete them from your system. So the way to do it, you actually have to be you create your list first, and then that you should have, if you have used it before, um, a load table that is for purged output order records. These are for the order records that the um, load table is set up to what kind of information to be um, um, exported out. So I can say create. You see here the start everybody should have access to, but it's delete records. And I can use the review file. As you see, the review file, there is review, and there is the scanning to delete records. Usually circulation uses that. And I can get my records and start, and my records are here. Now, based on what I want to delete and where the delete I have come from, delete records I came from acquisitions. Now it gives me the actually it has to do with the record type that I am bringing in because they are orders. First, you say delete the order records only, so I can delete the order records. Or if I want to purge both order and attached bib record, if no other records are attached. So in other words, these records that I have, if they have item records, they cannot be deleted from here. Then that my review file has to be in a bibliographic record because bibliographic records are the mother records, and then everything attached to them can be deleted. But otherwise, if you're coming from the order record, if there are other records attached to it, they cannot that bib record will not be deleted. Any questions about deleting? Okay, I'm not deleting the records actually. I stop at this point, and of course, if you say delete, it will give you a big box. Are you sure? Are you certain? If you delete, there will not be access to those records. So those are really important um, warnings to make sure that you really truly think about whether you really want to um, delete the records from your system. The other piece that is available in acquisitions is changing e-price, estimated price. This is used for very few, I don't know that many of them, but very few libraries actually change, um, instead of keeping their serials order record um, as an unencumbered status F, they actually go in and put the status on order, and then they give that the price for the year. They give the price in the list, in the estimated price fixed line field, and they go ahead and pay for it. And then of course the status will change as paid, and the next year they want to go back and change the estimated price. So you can use this way. You can have a review file of those records, obviously, the only way you want to work with it. And then you can use the pay date, you can use the invoice date or process invoice records with the F status. You can change to include the invoice dated beginning and ending, and then invoice dates beginning and ending, the time period that you are looking for. And then bring them, and then change the dates. This way you don't have to do them individually, but also you can keep track of exactly how much estimated price it was and how much you paid for it. Most libraries don't do that because the price that you pay for that year is on your payment field, so you can compare it that way. But for some libraries, that this option actually exists as well. Is that how you guys are using it? Is let's see, I have actually a question. Okay, the question here is, we are a consortium. If one library has an order record, but without ISBN or UPC number, the next order record is going to create another order record, yes, because there is no matching point. Is there any other way? Um, any way to work around that? One of the things you may want to check on, um, well, if it's a short record and it doesn't have ISBN, because this is set up in the system options. So system options will have the um, duplicate check. There is ISBN, there is order, there is title key. Let's look it up here. Duplicate check. Let me close this for a second. Duplicate entries. I think duplicate checking is duplicate check on different fields. And why is it you're not going there? Okay. Duplicate check on fields. Okay, new record. Okay, for bibliographic record, well, these are the fields that you can, for title is order I'm sorry, bibliographic utility, that is 001 or 003, depends on where you have, which one you have indexed. There is the ISBN, and there is the title key. Title key, in this case, actually may be something worthwhile because it's title key or nothing at all. So I would add that, and I explain what title key is. The old, this comes from inception of acquisitions, okay? It's old ways of checking. What it would do, it takes, it has 7 spaces, but for each space takes a letter from the first word of each, from each word of the title. So Gone with the Wind, okay, and I have to write it down too. Gone with the Wind. Okay. It will have G, W, T, W. Those are 4. But because it doesn't have 7, it would take IND from the wind. Okay? So you may get strange duplicate check. But in your case, since for the titles, you actually have those titles in your system, this may be a better way of, actually it's the only way to do a duplicate check for your title, because the records that you're downloading they are not really downloaded from um, OCLC, so you can't do a check on um, have it. Our consortium does not have duplicate check feature. It is in system options in the telnet. John is very familiar with that. John, you may want to check that. And these are the options that you have. Um, the other one is, well, you may not, since you're a consortium, you may not even use the same type of call number, and your order record wouldn't have it. But title key, I think, is the only way to get around that. because there is no other duplicate check. Does that help? Yeah. Yeah, that's the only way to, because as you see, new record duplicate check on fields, these are the only fields that it will do duplicate check. The title key would be the only possible way. Okay, so that's for estimated price. Now we can talk about um, create list, um, uh, uh, create list as a, I can go over it, but since we are getting ready 12 minutes to go on a break, let me take a smaller, we go to funds. You can create different activities and reports on your funds. If you are on higher level that it encompasses all the funds, you see current funds. If I say if first funds, it lists all the funds with all the expenditure, appropriation, expenditure, encumbrance, rebalance, and cash. So that's from the top. It tells you all the list. Then I can go to the activity reports and I can say show start activity report. Again, this is for all of them. So um, all the um, subfields, all the funds and expenditure, all the activities listed here. And as we kind of talked about it this morning, adjustment, I can actually go in there in order to make adjustment to any of these fields. I actually have to be on the current fund level adjustment, and then let's say put, I have a lot of money. Um, I can, and I have to just click somewhere else, it will add it. And I can, with this, I can add as much as I want, adjust the funds and finish it. And it won't be there until it gets posted, but I can finish. So those are on the higher level. Let me see, this one, that's the one that has some expenditure, ISMD books. If I go into that fund, then I can have more information specifically about that fund. First of all, it tells me that I have set it up as warning 10%, 10%. So if I'm spending 10% after that, it's going to warn me. Usually you set it up at 90% or 85% to get the warning. Um, then the rest of them is grayed out. These are the information that system collects. It tells me that expenditure, I have it spent $34.62. I have $86 encumbered already. I haven't spent it. There are subfields. In this case, there is only subfield one. It's the only field um, fund in there. It's connected to external fund code 0, and that is under administration, parameters, acquisitions, and external fund codes. And I saw you have a lot of external fund codes. So it's related to the first one, so it always prints on the report. And then it tells me orders year to date. I have 7 orders on it. Payments year to date, I have 3. Okay? So that's on individual. And then I have the pie chart, I have the bar chart, I have activities. What are actually the items that I have purchased? And that is that shows the ones that I have purchased, paid, and it tells you what I have been canceled, what these are the reports for each fund. You also have the fund hierarchy, which is you set this up when you, let's say you have um, I have the academic background, so um, the selectors were in charge of maybe five academic departments: chemistry, physics, astronomy, and computer science and engineering belong to one. And they would have um, one hierarchy um, for that person. The reason for that is those people did not have access to um, acquisition subsystem to come and look at their funds. But in web management report, there is the fund reports, and that will tell the uh, different. This will show the hierarchies that are available for those funds. So that way they could look at this without having to go into acquisitions. Plus, it was web based and it was easy for them to get. There wasn't as much Java problems, right? Um, so um, uh, so that's where it would be, and they could look at it and they know exactly how much money they had left. So that is another reason for a fund hierarchy that you could look at. And it's easy to set up. You are on a hierarchy. You create a new group. You give it a name. Let's say again, good old test. And then you can pick out. You just put and you pick out different. Every one of them. You can't do like control. You have to, each one you choose, you have to insert and say done. And these are the funds now. When I go back to the hierarchy, now there is my test. So obviously it's out of cash balance. I should go in and put money in some of them anyway. This is how you can set up a new group. In this case, I'm gonna go ahead and figure out a way to delete it. If it's not, okay. Okay. So this is how the fund structure is, and the information about the fund. Uh, the reports that you can get about the funds, create hierarchies, create a new fund, delete a fund. These are all associated with funds. Any questions? Okay. Let's take a break and come back at 2:45. That way we can finish up with other segments of the agenda. I think we have covered everything else. And please do ask questions if you have anything that you want me cover in next hour and a half that you prefer to see.